Good evening and welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to this new series here for 2024 of the Ginetta Junior official series here at Perfect Acceleration. Today, my name will be Alex Newman, followed by pundit. Well, the pundit of today would be Jude Peter, or well, also the co-commentator, but Tom likes to do stuff fancily. How's it going, Mr. Jude?
Yeah, it's going well, thanks. Excited to watch this evening's race.
Indeed. Oulton Park we are at here for tonight, just located in the beautiful county of Cheshire, with the track just being over 2.6 miles long with 10 to 17 corners depending on the configuration for tonight. Rounding it off today is going to be Oulton Park's the best circuit in the world in my opinion, followed then by Donington Park on the 29th for round 2, followed then on the 5th of September is going to be round 3 of Anglesey, followed then by the Snetterton 300 for round 4 on the 12th of September. On the 19th of September, it's going to be round 5 for Silverstone International, following by Brands Hatch GP, as well as Oulton Park Island for tonight. Today, obviously, the Ginetta Juniors are going to be that G40 Ginetta car, which is obviously the same as the real-life car, containing that 1.8 litre Ford Zetec i4 engine, just containing under 100 brake horsepower, I believe. Capable of going 120 miles an hour. Torque just being under 200 newton meters as well, with the weight of being 830 kg. Jude, though, has had the experience and the pleasure of working with Ginetta. Or not? Would you say you've worked with Ginetta, or are you like a third-party company in a way?
I'm not sure. I mean, they've obviously helped me to fund this season, winning the scholarship. But yeah, it's been an amazing experience driving these cars and getting to race these cars. And yeah, I can't thank Ginetta enough for that.
Now, you obviously won the Ginetta Scholarship Series. I believe it was last year, now doing the full Ginetta Junior Series, and I believe you're on round 5 now, isn't that correct?
Yeah, we've just finished up Silverstone National, and yeah, it's been an amazing year really. Given it's my first ever year racing without any karting, so it's all a completely new experience. But yeah, I've loved every minute of it, and just learning the racecraft and the whole experience of being on British GT and all that, and the series. It's all just very amazing, really.
Now, it's brilliant to have Jude on the side here on comms. But in terms of prizes for this championship, we obviously have that free entry to the Ginetta Scholarship, would be held just, I believe, it's just a week after the championship ends on the 11th to the 13th of October, followed then by second place, which is 3 hours in the Ginetta simulator, followed by a Ginetta factory tour. Third place will have a 34-inch Samsung G5 gaming monitor funded by PASR, as well as driver of the round getting a 3M UK sim gloves, as well as the 100% attendance award will get a PASR cap. That is what the prize is going to be concluded of for this championship for tonight. We do have, I believe it's 9 cars here for tonight, which is obviously a smaller grid, but can obviously be better because it's going to hopefully provide for some cleaner racing as we go on into qualifying. Now, just 9 minutes remaining as we do see the first times have been set. This is just going to be the outlap, so as we do see Norse taking P1 just for now for the 202.5. I'm not really sure what's going to be a good time around here. So Jude, have you actually raced this configuration of Oulton Park then?
Yeah, this is the layout that we did for the opening round of the championship. The times on the sim seem to be quite a bit quicker than they were in real life, but I've seen so far people doing a 2:01.5, I think is the fastest lap from Logan McAllister, so I'm sure we'll see a time around about that for pole.
That is probably going to be right because you're obviously the expert in this. But with these cars in mind, though, they're obviously just a tiny bit slow. Well, not a tiny bit slower. I guess they're about 30 to 40 mile an hour slower than the GT4 version, which I believe is the G50 Ginetta, which is obviously the GT4 car, as I was just mentioning. But in terms of that, have you been able to experience any of the other Ginetta cars, or have you just been in the Ginetta G40 so far?
No, yeah, I've just been in the G40, which is, yeah, as you say, quite a lot slower than the GT4 counterpart. I can't remember the exact lap time difference now, but it's probably 20 to 30 seconds or so. So the extra
Oh,
horsepower
wow.
makes a massive difference, but it's something I'd love to drive in the future for sure.
Now, these cars being rear-wheel drive as well, do you find it can be quite easy to spin these cars out? Well, unintentionally, obviously.
Yeah, well, they're on Pirelli road tyres, which don't have the same grip as a slick, which you'd find most race cars using. So yeah, with them being rear-wheel drive as well, they're certainly very rear happy, and they will punish you at any moment, which is what makes them so great to learn in, because they teach you amazing car control so that you can be ready to drive any other car, which is most cars above this are often a lot easier to drive, and by learning in this car, you end up, really being having a good head start when going into cars in the future.
That sounds, yeah. I honestly, I've never been able to drive. Obviously not many people have, so you're definitely lucky with that. I did karting, not from a young age, but I just done it regular, not too regularly, but enough to be, I guess, classed as regular. But I don't do that anymore, unfortunately. But from what I just expect, well, no, because I think I know. I'm just trying to think on the top of my head now. 3 or 4 Ginetta Junior drivers, not just from this series. I believe they're from 2018 onwards. So it's always good to have, obviously, the contacts like that. But in terms of qualification, it obviously determines race one's grid. But for race two, it is a tiny bit different. All of the grid will be reversed. So in terms of the regulations, it does say the top 10 will be reversed. But obviously, if you do not finish the race, you'll be put in a random grid position, which will make it a bit more of an advantage point, or obviously disadvantage point, depending on where you end up on that part of the grid. But we do need to see now if anyone's actually saying any better time so far. We do still see that 202.0 that we saw earlier. Now we do see Logan McAllister is just 7, nearly 8 tenths behind on his current fastest lap with only 5 minutes remaining. That's not too much time. It's about 2 or so laps depending on where your car is positioned on track here for tonight. We do see it's actually spanning quite a bit, so I'm assuming spanning quite a bit in terms of the qualification time so far, so I'm assuming quite a few people haven't been able to set a valid qualification time, which is definitely going to be interesting for the race, because there's definitely going to be some drivers with a lot more potential in their qualification times. But for now, we do see this is going to be Gabriel Norris now coming into the pits. He might have enough for one more time if he does try to change your tyres. But now, Jude, with these cars round a race, do you think they're accurate at all in the sim, or do you think they're quite far off?
There's definitely some similarities and some differences, like in the way that they move about and how they feel. They're being very lightweight. That comes through in the sim. I think in real life they're a little bit more slidey than they are in the sim. So they're much more prone to oversteer than understeer, and I think in the sim they tend to be a little bit more understeery. But no, generally they're quite good. I mean, the tires aren't the same in the sim, so there's a bit of a difference with that. And over the race, that changes a little bit. The car changes more, I think, in real life than it does in the sim, because the tires aren't the same in the sim. But apart from that, I mean, yeah, they're quite. I'd say it's a pretty accurate car, really. I mean, I think the weight is one of the main things that determines the feel of the car, and of course the power. But yeah, that seems to be pretty spot on in the sim.
That's good. But in terms of now, obviously, it's only a 20-minute race, so there won't be any pit stops in tonight's race unless you've absolutely screwed your car. But in terms of tyre wear, do you think we're going to see any sort of major tyre degrades just from natural driving?
Yeah, I mean, it could play a part in it. I don't think it should be too much. I mean, I haven't ever tested a very long stint in one of these cars on the sim, but in real life, it does make a difference. But it's mainly with the tires getting too hot or whatever. You don't tend to see too much actual tire wear, so I wouldn't expect to see the tire wear being too much of a problem in just a 15-minute race.
Okay, that's good to see. So hopefully we do still get some good racing. But we do see now, in terms of an update on qualifying, we are now currently just spectating what is going to be Logan McAllister as he comes in to, I believe he's going into Lake Hill and going into Shell Oil's corner. Now, as he is just now a 10th behind Norse there in that Ginetta, obviously. He isn't, well, I'm not really sure if he is actually improving, because there isn't any sector times that are being displayed on screen there, unfortunately, right now. But we do see a few cars are stopped causing a yellow flag, I believe, but that is just normal people pulling over. But we do see now sector 1, he is going to be a 2.5 down on his personal best time so far. As we enter into sector 2 now, as we go into Knickersbrook, this is going to be one of the best overtaking opportunities, and what I found in Oulton Park. And obviously how slow these, well, they're not really that slow, to be fair. 120 miles an hour is still going to be rapid, especially from when you're coming from karts. But it does seem these cars do provide really good racing. But have you had any incidents around this track, Jude?
I have had a couple of small bumps in the race, nothing major. I finished all my races here at Oulton Park. I've had some incidents in testing. Specifically, I think it's called Druids at the back, the double right-hander. Through there can be quite an easy place to lose it as the car goes. It's a corner where you need to be right on the limit and slightly sliding. I haven't had too many incidents around here, I don't think, actually, but yeah, it's definitely a place where I think there's big opportunity for there to be, with, you know, the walls being very close, the track being quite narrow with quite a few pinch points. So there's quite a few places that drivers could come into contact with each other if there isn't enough caution there.
Yeah, it does seem Druid's Corner, turn 15, is one of the corners that is going to be quite an easy place to make a mistake, like you were just mentioning. It is that I think it's very off-cambered as well, that corner as well. So it definitely is going to be using your tires quite a bit more than some of these other corners as well. But we do see as well how big of an elevation change there is in certain corners as well. D Elite being one, as well as just going after turn 1 going into Cascades, is another place where you're going to see some almighty elevation change there, which is probably going to bottom out the car quite a bit, which is going to obviously affect the top speed of the cars, not just over time, but just going through that certain sector. But we do you see that in the same in real life around this track? Obviously, I assume so, if they're the same ride height.
Yeah, there's definitely the elevation makes a big difference, especially, going up the hill. It's really important to get a good exit out of the chicane so that you can carry your momentum all the way up the hill. Being the low power cars that they are, is the main thing about driving them really seems to be keeping up the momentum and never really veering off the corners too much so that you lose too much momentum and then try and drive it out. It's more about kind of just making sure that you don't bog down, almost a lot like a kart, really. Just keeping up the speed, really.
Yeah, but now what we do see as we approach the end of qualifying now with just 5 seconds left to go. If you're not familiar on how the sector codes work, here just below the driver profile and the driver's name, on the bottom right, you'll either see a purple, which will represent them having a best overall sector, green, which represents a personal best sector, like we can see there, with Harry Power being able to get sector 1 and sector 2 green, and orange is just going to be a clean sector but isn't going to be able to improve on this time, and a red means it contains track cuts. As we do now approach on to the finish of qualifying, we do see so far it's going to be Norse who might be able to take pole here for race 1, but will we see anyone making some significant progress? We do see now Harry Power is actually on quite a considerably better lap. He goes up to P6 there for that Ginetta there. Harry Power, the car number 32, going up to P6 provisional. We still see 3 cars who haven't crossed the line so far, that being Smith, Snaith, and Galagi, sorry. What we can see on the screen now, going on board now with Nathan Snaith as he enters into Druid's Corner, and going into this just sector as well. Again, that sector, what you just mentioned, quite an easy corner to get wrong and to go off into those barriers pretty heavily. But we do see now Nave going into Lodge Corner as well just before Deer Leaf. This is going to be one of the higher elevation changes you will see now as he approaches Lodge Corner and into Deer Leap. Now just see how big of an elevation change it is. It doesn't seem that the sim does it any justice, like many tracks there, but we do see Nathan Snaith does go into the pits, unfortunately, so he is not going to improve on his time there. But now going on to the final car as he enters into Druid's Corner there. Max Galgi currently in P8. Can he improve on his time so far? I can't see any sectors, so we aren't aware if he is. As he goes through Lodge Corner for the final time for qualifying for tonight, will he be able to make or break his lap time here for tonight as we go through into D Leap once again? That is just enough to leave your lunch away. as we do go into the start-finish line for the final time for him. Will he be able to go up any positions as he goes across? He's got to go up to P7 with a 2:05.3 there, so that is going to be a one-place improvement there. But this is going to be your grid for race 1. So in terms of, I guess you could say fuel consumption in this car, is it quite low or is it quite high? Because obviously it's got that 1.8 litre engine, so that's probably got to be quite thirsty.
Yeah, I'm not actually too sure, to be honest. A lot of the fuel work is done by the engineers, and it's one of those things that we don't have too much input on as a driver. But just being constantly towards the rev limiter, that certainly probably wouldn't help with the fuel consumption.
Indeed. Now, as we do wait for what is going to be the interview with the pole setter time here, we do see it is going to be obviously 2 20-minute races, so just 40 minutes of racing here tonight, which is obviously accurate with real life, which is considered so shorter compared to what I've been doing recently. But luckily I was able to do commentary at Oulton Park, well, not officially, but esports yesterday as well, so it's always good practice to have, and they did provide some really good racing, the TC UK esports. So can we see the Ginettas living up to that standards as well? We do just go over what is currently happening here at Perfect Acceleration. We do have obviously the Pro Sim Rig Super Touring Series that starts on September 3rd, but we are here with the pole sitter here, Gabriel Norse. How is it going, matey?
Pretty good. I didn't really expect that, but I'm very happy. So, yeah, pretty good.
I'd expect so. Getting pole position here, that means you are going to be on the front row for the first race here. Do you have any sort of tactics that you're willing to share what you might try do to catch your opponents off guard, I guess you could say?
Not really. Kind of just try and defend from them, but that's really all.
So in terms of this being the first race, is this your first race in the Ginetta Junior's cars at all, or have you had previous experience in them?
Yeah, this is my first race. I've been practicing all day really, so yeah.
How are you finding the cars compared to what you've been racing? Because you have an F1 profile picture there, so I'm assuming you're used to those cars.
Yeah, it's very challenging to get a lot of speed out of it, but once you do, it's a very satisfying process. So.
Do you think
nice.
your fastest lap was your full potential, or do you think you could have gained a few more tenths in certain corners?
I think if I wasn't too focused on my phone, then I would have probably been able to go quicker, but otherwise, yeah, I think that was pretty good from me.
As well as that, who do you think, just by prediction at the moment, who do you think your biggest rival of this series is going to be?
At the moment, probably Logan McAllister, but I'm not 100% certain how much practice he's done or who else has done little practice, so I'm not too certain just yet.
Now, Jude, I'm going to pass it over to you. Do you have any questions as well?
Yeah.
No, oh, sorry.
I mean, I was watching the practice times, and Logan was certainly up there. So do you think that, well, yeah, you said you weren't expecting it, but do you think you'll be able to keep him behind you in this race?
I'll try my best, but if he gets past, he gets past, so no real hard feelings.
Thank you very much for obviously attending the broadcasting studio today. Good luck for the races here tonight. Obviously, if you win, you will have to start at the back, but obviously hoping for the best for you. But I also don't want the commentators curse you, so I won't say much. But enjoy the race. Obviously, just take it in. It's a brilliant track, brilliant cars, and hope for the best for you. Have a great race.
Thank you.
Gabriel Norse there, the pole sitter for race 1, getting the fastest lap time in qualifying. There was only a tenth between the front two drivers there. It is quite close between the drivers. Obviously, he seemed quite shocked that he had pole position, as you would be if you knew you were not. If you didn't know you were going to get pole position there. But obviously, just going to check up with the chat so far. Justin Wellbeloved, the amazing livery designer he is, and good luck to all drivers. Good to see you, Justin, as well as Nate saying a lot of I guess you could say a lot of support there for Harry Power is Nathan Schatt is giving him. But Jude, going into race 1, sorry, it's been a long day. Going into race 1, what are your predictions currently? Do you think you're going to see an underdog take the win, or do you think it's going to stay in similar order?
Well, based on the qualifying and the practice, it looks like Logan and Gabriel had a good gap behind them. You definitely can't discredit anyone in this though, because given, well, the toe is so strong around here that it is often quite hard to break away. But I think we will see quite a strong battle between the front two here. And if they keep battling, you might end up with some people behind, getting in on the action and potentially even slipping through. So I think it'll be a close race, and definitely can't predict the winner yet.
Yeah, 100%. Now, with only 20 minutes of racing, anything can be quite unpredictable. As well as that, 20 minutes of racing is not going to be a lot, so a lot of these drivers are probably going to be quite optimistic on their moves, try and make it a first try thing, but obviously that's not going to be the greatest idea to try and just dive bomb into certain corners, so I don't encourage you guys to be doing that if you're listening. But going on to race 1 in the next few minutes as well, there is obviously going to be no rain, which is definitely going to be very thankful for the drivers. Same with race 2, I don't believe there is going to be rain either. As we just go back on to what is going to be happening at PASR. Actually, we will do that in a minute, because it does seem we're about to go green here for the first race. 20 minutes of racing, as we do see the cars just lining up, getting ready, as we're on board now with Logan McAllister, the Englishman, in the Logan McAllister Racing Ginetta G40, starting P2. Did seem to have quite a lot of potential. His driving standards, obviously, Jude, seeing him quite a few times in the practice server. So as well as that, on the start of a Ginetta G40, Jude, is it difficult to start them? Because obviously it is quite a slow car compared to what you have like GT3s and stuff like that. But is it still quite a vulnerable spinner?
Not on the start. It's less likely to spin on the start, but it's more so about you can actually dump the clutch very quickly. So it's about getting off the clutch, given how little power they have. Oh, we're about to go green.
We get the lights underway here, as we do see all 6 lights and now showing red as we go green here for race 1. It's just a tiny bit of a struggle there from the blue Ginetta, just going into P8, and now he's going to be demoted down until into P9 there, as we do now see Logan McAllister on board of him going into turn 1 of what is going to be Old Hall corner. Not going to be able to make any sort of moves just yet. Everyone's seeming to take it quite carefully here, as that is going to be a position fluctuation there for Nathan Snaith. Back down there as we go side by side going into Casket here. Not a great place to go side by side at all, but we do see now Max Galgi going to be able to try and keep it once again. No, it's still going to be side by side as we go down into what is going to be now Island Bend and Shell's corner. This is going to be quite sketchy. This is not a corner that you want to be taking side by side at all, but he gets the move done. Nathan Snaith going back up to P6, trying to get these positions back there. He unfortunately lost over the start, but he goes very, very wide there into Shell Oil's corner there, but he is still going to be maintained, but they both spin there going into the wall, and that's actually going to be him losing all of those positions. But obviously with the rear wheel drive car that you have here, it's just so easy to spin, unfortunately, and with the cold tires as well that you have definitely gained from being on the first lap, it's not going to be great for you. Jude, on the start, what do you think you liked and disliked about that so far?
Yeah, I mean, that was a unfortunate bit of contact there, but on the first lap, they're very prone to that, especially on the sim. I think the cold tyres being quite detrimental, and yeah, very easy to just loop around like that, being lightweight and rear wheel drive. See a few position changes, but apart from that, it seemed like a fairly calm start, as we've got Gabriel Norse here pulling a bit of a gap to Logan, it seems. But I'm sure that won't last for too long, with the slipstream being quite as strong as it is, and I imagine we'll have quite a battle on our hands fairly soon.
Hopefully so. It does seem quite a few of these drivers are quite isolated right now, quite a bit of breathing space between driver shirts. We do see Nathan Snaith, unfortunately, on the track map in the top right, just having such a big gap between him and the driver above now, but still on board with Logan McAllister as we go in to turn 1 here of Old Hall corner. Still not going to be able to gain enough time there, but we do actually see, I believe, Gabriel North might be starting to create a tiny bit of a more breathing space than he originally was. So I'm thinking he's going to be the faster driver so far. There was only a tenth between them within qualifying, but obviously his tyre preservation is going to be key for this race as well. Obviously, he said there isn't going to be too much tyre wear during this race, but again, just not trying to overheat those tyres is going to be crucial. But Nathan Safe doing that is obviously going to find it a bit more tricky. But again, once you spin on one of these cars, is it quite difficult to get the tyre temperatures down, or is it quite easy? As we do see, there's quite a big lockup there from Norse.
Yeah, I mean, given the way you have to drive them, being, just sliding a little bit to keep the momentum up, it tends to be quite difficult because they overheat very easily anyway, just from driving around by sliding them. So as soon as you spin, the tyre temperatures typically come up quite a lot, and then they won't very easily come down. So it's something you need to be very careful of and really try and avoid, of course, where possible.
Now, I've never driven one of these cars, both virtually or real life, which is obviously a shame. But in terms of braking, have they got quite strong brakes? Because it's not too much momentum. You have to try brake there. As we do see, that's going to be Logan McAllister going quite wide there, going in to now Watermill. Is it quite easy braking, or is it quite difficult?
I mean, the brakes on the cars are really good partially because they're low power, so the brakes are they can quite easily stop the car, but you have to be very careful, as I was saying before, about not slowing the car down too much. So you're typically going to be quite gentle on the brakes, as we see potentially a move going on, a little switch back there. But yeah, you have to be quite careful on the brakes, not slow it down, just keep the momentum and keep the speed rolling through the corners.
I see Logan McAllister now trying to find any potential opportunity to get by Gabriel for position. Now, Gabriel going to be obviously feeling an immense amount of pressure here, obviously for himself. Now, currently, his dad owning part of Sim Demon, making the sponsor in the back quite obvious there. As we can see now, Logan McAllister going down into caskets now, gaining a tiny bit of time, but it does seem Gabriel's going to get a better exit. But obviously, as you were mentioning earlier, the slipstream is going to be so crucial here for Logan, and just Gabriel needs to get his head down, pedal to the metal a tiny bit, and just try to create a tiny bit of a gap going through the corners. But we do see now going in to Shell's oil corner here, as we do see it's going to be quite a crucial thing to have the inside line, and he blocks his brake up a tiny bit. We do see Gabriel actually starting to fall under pressure a tiny bit here, as now the gap has just decreased to less than 3/10 now, as we can see these cars being relatively wide compared to what this circuit is. Obviously, Oulton Park being quite a narrow circuit is going to make it quite difficult to overtake unless you're going into a corner. Obviously, it's enough to go too wide, but trying to go through wide, hopefully we don't see that happen, because that will just end in tragedy. We do now see Gabriel North starting to pull a gap once again as we go into Knickersbrook. Once again, as we just head into the 6-minute mark of racing here for today, we do see Logan McAllister starting to make a bit of a gauge here as we go into the Druids corner. It does seem he has that slipstream, he has the toe. This is going to be a big advantage for him as he goes side by side, getting the outside line, going into Druid's corner. Now, this is not going to be a good corner to go side by side in, but it is obviously possible, as we do see he's not going to be able to get past. Yes, he is. He gets the brilliant exit there going through Druids and goes up into P1 here. Now we have to see Gabriel Norse trying to put the pedal to the metal a tiny bit, but we do need to obviously remember the cars behind. We do see Clark in the background. There is about it says a 3-second gap on the leaderboard there, but that is going to be a tiny bit inaccurate because of obviously being sector timing, so it's probably a tiny bit less now as they've been attacking quite a bit now. But Logan McAllister been able to pull quite a big gap. Now, what were your thoughts on there, Jude? Oh my god, no, never mind. Nathan Snape going into the barrier there, into what is going to be, is that Druid or has he gone in a lodge? No, that's going to be Caskets where he's gone into the barrier, and that's going to be our first unfortunate casualty of Oulton Park here for tonight in the Ginetta Junior eSeries here. But in terms of how easy it is to crash these cars, is it easy or quite difficult?
I mean, just getting practice in the car makes a big difference to, be not crashing it. But yeah, there's definitely, as I said before, they're very tail happy, so they do want to make you spin and potentially go in the wall. So it's something you've really got to be careful of, especially going through a corner like Druids, which was a very good move from Logan there, just keeping his foot in around the outside and making it stick. And he seems to be holding that gap now as he loses a little bit coming out of there, and we might see a move from Gabriel now coming into this corner.
Yeah, Gable trying to retaliate to get pole position back as he goes side by side going into Knickersbrook. Is he could be able to get the inside line going into the second part? They make a tiny bit of contact there, as we can see. Going on board with him now, he is going to be able to regain the lead, it seems. As we do just wait for the stream to come back, as it's still going to be side by side. Gabriel Norse now having the advantage. He is ahead once again of Logan McAllister. That slipstream just showing how crucial it is and how much of an advantage it is going in to certain corners. He just gained so much time, but we can actually see now Clark lurking in the background, looking to try and also make some moves up of his own as we enter on until nearly the halfway part of this race so far. In terms of racing so far, obviously there hasn't been too many position changes, but for what you've seen, is this quite good racing, or do you think they could do a tiny bit better?
Well, I mean, it seems to be quite good racing from these front two with that move into Druids. That was a really nice move. There's a bit of a gap behind, so we're not seeing quite the close racing that can often happen in Ginetta Juniors. But yeah, this race up front seems to be quite good. But Gabriel Norse putting a bit of a gap. But as soon as I say that, he is now dropping back towards Logan after a little slide out of there. And I think that until the end of this race, it's going to be very difficult to predict the winner here.
Yeah, putting a lot of pressure there, Logan McAllister, as we do see now Gabriel Norse going side by side with Logan McAllister going in to the Shell Oils corner. It's going to be a very, very crucial corner to get the inside line of Gabriel Norse, wanting to defend as much as he can. He almost goes to the grass there. I thought he was going onto the grass. Obviously, if you go into the grass there, you've got to be spat into a barrier pretty quickly. But they're going to be crucial to have the inside line as well to get the fastest and best way through the corner. As we do see the driver who gets the fastest lap of the race, both of race 1 and race 2, will gain a bonus point in the championship. So it's obviously crucial to try and get a tiny bit of breathing space to try and attempt to get that fastest lap as well. But now Gabriel Norse still being able to maintain pole position, but we do see again Logan McAllister in optimal range of that slipstream so far. As we do go back into Knickersbrook, he is going to be able to gain a tiny bit of time there as we do go on board now with Will Clark, who has just been lurking at, well, most of this race so far. But now as we do see Logan McAllister wanting to retaliate once again to try regain the lead of the race, he is just gaining so much time now, as we can also see going back on board now with the wing of Gabriel Norse, just seeing how much slipstream can actually be gained through just a small straight like this going into Druid's corner. As we enter the exit of it, just seeing how much of a better line as well that we saw Logan McAllister getting, but still not going to be enough to try and regain the lead there. Terms of it now, we go on into Deer Leap as we go up into the start finish straight. This is where we're most likely going to see Logan McAllister try to regain the lead here as he gets that slipstream. He is just creeping ever so closer as we enter into Old Hall Corner. He's not going to be close enough just yet, but going into Caskets, this usually is where he's pretty solid at, and he's all over the rear once again. Gabriel Norse having an immense amount of pressure as we go down into Caskets. This is going to be a huge part of compression on the cars, going down that little drop there, as we can see now Logan McAllister just all over the rear of Gabriel Norse once again as we go on into the sweeping left-hander going into Old Shell Corner. As again, he's going to try look for the inside line, but is it going to work? It doesn't seem he's going to be able to maintain the inside line. Is it again Gabriel Norse just gluing himself to the defensive line, but there's going to be a big lunge there from what's going to be Logan McAllister, but isn't going to be able to get by, because obviously that is going to be a crucial corner to get the inside line off. It is practically impossible to try and overtake into Old Shell's corner, but we do see now they're going to go side by side. This is where we do have the second chicane of Britain's, the first chicane, sorry, of Britain's, as now we do see Gabriel Norse still being able to have a tiny bit of breathing space after just sending that chicane as we go down this very small straight going into the second chicane of Knickersbrook. There is still just barely 5/10 between these two drivers, but that seems to drop quite quickly as we go into sector 3 here, because this does seem to be Logan's fast pace. As we do see now Harry Power unfortunately going off into Britain's, the first chicane there unfortunately for himself. The number 32 Ginetta G40, the independent racing car, now being put down into P6, that we do see is now going to be under more pressure from behind from the fellow Welsh driver of Elmorton Evans, now in the other independent car. But we do see they're now going to be both just practically in the rear of each other, as we do have to now see if they're going to be able to actually make some sort of move here. Evans going on into the Watermill and going on into Druids. Now, 7 minutes remaining, Jude. Do you think we're going to see any... Well, actually, no, I'm going to say this question once again because I said it at the start of the race, but now you have a bit of a bit of education on this race and how these drivers react. Between Gabriel and Logan so far, who do you think's performing better and who do you think might take the win without commentators cursing them, obviously?
Yeah, of course. It seems like quite an even battle, to be fair. I mean, Gabriel seems to get in front and put a bit of a gap, but then it might get clawed back again and Logan gets in front. So we've had, obviously, Logan making the move into Druids and Gabriel making the move into Knickerbrook, but it seems like at the minute, Logan's just, trying not to be too rash with his moves, just trying to unsettle Gabriel a little bit, just like that, as he makes a lock up into the hairpin and gets up the inside of him. But it seems to be kind of just trying to keep him on his toes and wait for those opportunities to open. And I think as the race starts to come to a close, we might start to see Logan look to make a slightly more aggressive move, should we say? But yeah, I'm not sure. I'm not too sure yet.
It does seem to be rather unpredictable as Logan almost got the lead back going into the hairpin, but that was a really late breaking move there from Logan McAllister, gaining quite a bit of time there on Gabriel North as we go into sector 3. Now this is going to be the sector where Logan seems to be the strongest at the moment, going into as well Old Hall corner of sector 1. But it does seem, I'm going to say Logan at the moment seems to be the stronger driver between the two, but it does seem Gabriel North is doing quite well under pressure, which is obviously what you want to happen. He just needs to try to defend a tiny bit harder, just try not to take any risks at all, obviously trying to be fast still at the same time, but trying to block off any predicted moves that Logan might throw at him as we go into Lodge Corner. Now we just see how much of a braking differences there is between the two drivers, as Logan's just trying to gain some time under braking there, which is obviously worked here as he's all practically neck on neck here, as we do see the slipstream is going to help him as we go into Old Hall corner once again, as he's going to have the inside line. This might be Logan's chance to get the lead back, as there's going to be a contact between the two drivers that is a bit forceful to say the least, but obviously it's all about leaving the space there. We do see that's going to be Logan McAllister going back up into the leads now. There's already quite a big gap starting to form. What was your opinion on that move then, Jude?
Yeah, that was quite an aggressive move. I mean, I'd have to look at it again, but I mean, I'm not entirely sure. It looked like could have just a little bit of coming together there, as Gabriel didn't want to leave Logan too much space, but Logan wanted to get into that gap. So yeah, I'm not really sure on the instant there, as Logan goes very wide and straight
goes
on
into
at the
barrier almost. Whoa, that's going to be Logan's chances of winning this race practically over here as he goes down into P3. Now we do see Clark promoting into P2. He's definitely going to have quite a big smug on his face, to say the least, but now this is going to be practically the result unless anything obviously happens. Now Will Clark in P2 trying to chase Gabriel now having practically quite a big sigh of relief after the unfortunate events that just happened to Logan McAllister. 4 minutes of racing left to go, so about 2 laps or so. This might be our final grid, but obviously with motorsports being so unpredictable, anything can happen. We can see now Harry Power in P6, still under a bit of pressure there from Morton Evans there in P7, and the number 8 G40 as well, but going in with still 2 laps to go. Obviously, there's only about 7/10 between them both, but obviously, again, as you mentioned, the slipstream is just so powerful here in this racing series, and just these kind of cars as well, just the body shape of them as well, just making them practically just the most aero inefficient cars ever. But we do now see as well Morton Evans going on into sector 3. He's going to have a tiny bit of a bounce to the curb there, but luckily is able to save there. Well held there, mister.
Yeah, that was a big save there, actually. Looked like it was very close to a spin. It was very good to save that.
Oh, speaking on, I'm not sure if I've actually asked this, but I'm just going to say, speaking on the terms of spinning, how easy is it to save these cars in real life?
The tyres actually seems to be quite forgiving, so whilst it is easy to have a big snap, they are fairly savable really, and fairly manageable, as we saw with Logan there going wide and just managing to recover before he hit into the barriers. And of course with The incident we've just had there with nearly spinning, yeah, they are definitely fairly savable.
Indeed, as our race director just told me, apparently Logan McAllister has the fastest lap, but it does seem there's still purple timings going on the board there, as I do see Galgi getting a purple lap, so I'm starting to assume he now has the fastest lap of the race. Obviously the fastest lap providing 1 point towards the championship, which can be crucial, as we have seen in previous motorsport series, just stuff being separated by points almost, so those points are always going to be crucial. As we get to the end of this race now, just one lap or so left to go after this, it is going to be Gabriel Norris that might take the win here. There's now a 4.2 second gap between the two drivers, but however Logan McAllister is still trying to fight back to try and at least take P2 here from Will Clark, I believe his name is, as we do see now it's going to be Logan McAllister just all over the rear once again. He's been very good at attacking today. Obviously that unfortunate incident we did see going into Shell's Oil's corner did leave him his chances for winning this race pretty slim. Once again, unfortunately, but now Logan McAllister just getting a better line through Druids. In fact, he goes very, very wide there, but still seems to be gaining with the slipstream and the exit speed there as we do go into Lodge Corner. This is an easy place to, again, brake really late and just lock your brakes up, but we do see that's going to be an outside move there from Logan McAllister. Is he going to be able to make it stick there, or are they going to go side by side still going in to the start finish straight? No, it does look like Logan McAllister is able to get by Clark practically with ease compared to the Gabriel versus Logan situation that we had earlier. Now with 1 minute remaining, we do see Gabriel Norris is going to be able to take the final few corners with practically no pressure at all so far. Is this usually what happens? Obviously, they are 20-minute races in real life as well. But do you usually see the grid becoming quite isolated over time, or is it still like neck-on-neck racing for a good majority of the race?
It's pretty much just 20 minutes of trying to get past the guy in front of you and keep the guy behind you behind, but you do tend to see two packs forming, and maybe like the top 8, top 10 in one pack, and then behind that in another pack. But yeah, it's typically no one really gets much of a breather in this series, it seems.
I see. Now, with these cars, obviously, we've seen a bit of door rubbing and a bit of door banging. How tolerable are the cars to that in terms of bodywork damage? Are they quite, I guess, robust, or are they quite fragile and delicate?
Yeah, they're pretty robust, really. I mean, they're made of fiberglass, so all the kind of parts on them do bend a bit and have a bit of give. So if you do rub or make contact, you can typically get away with it. The bonnet pins aren't very strong, so if you do have some bonnet contact, the bonnet can often pop up. Well, yeah, which isn't ideal. As we see, there's Morton Everton's going off there, but yeah, they are fairly robust and able to take a little bit of a beating, as you often see in the races.
That's good to know. That is definitely good to know, and probably a bit reassuring to some of these drivers. But we do see now Gabriel Norris going into Lodge Corner for the final time for race 1 is going to take the win here for race 1 as he comes through Lodge Corner and going down into DLEP. He is going to be able to bag the win here for race 1, which is definitely going to be him very proud of himself, as he was very shocked about his qualifying results. So being able to take the first win of the race is definitely going to extend his championship points quite significantly. Logan McAllister, who was on fire for a lot of that race, taking P2. He might not be too happy with that, but with his recovery, I think he should be. Will Clark in P3, as well as now we do see Addison Smith in P4 in the green and blue one. I like that color scheme. As we do now see as well Samuel now in the CS Racing. Ginetta going through the Elite for the final time for himself for race 1 to take P5. As well as Harry Power behind, just a few seconds behind. Actually, there is quite a big gap between them both, it seems. Harry Power taking P6, as well as we do see Morton Evans seeming to have a tiny bit of bad luck going through the final lap, but he is going to be able to take P7 here for tonight. And then we also see as well Galgi as well. Just there is quite a big space between them both, 12 seconds to be exact, it seems. Going to be able to take P8, and unfortunately that is going to be last on track here for tonight. Obviously we did see Nathan Snaith unfortunately have that incident going into, I believe it was Cascades, and just was stuck there, so had to retire to the pit there for race 1. That is not going to be ideal for himself, obviously, as we will get interviews running very shortly. But finishing order points seem to be quite big here, and there are quite big gaps between them both. First being able to take 35 points, second 30 points, third, 26 points fourth, 22 points fifth, 20 points sixth, 18 points seventh, 16 points eighth, 14 points ninth, 12 points 10th, 11 points. Then they subtract a point for each other car that is going to be on the grid. Gabriel, how
Yeah,
did you find that, mate?
I've managed to win. I didn't think so, but when I saw Logan have his moment, I thought, well, that's pretty good for me. So yeah, pretty much from there on, it was just kind of cruising to the end.
Now, already being able to extend your championship is going to be ideal, but do you know what that means going on to race 2? It means you're going to be starting from the back, which is definitely going to be a bit more challenging compared to the first race, being able to have to try and navigate, I guess you could say, the slower drivers here for tonight. But Gabriel being able to take P1 is going to give himself 35 points. I'm not sure who had the fastest lap in the end. So Tom, if you could message that would be great. As well as we do see Logan McAllister. That was a mix of events for you. How did you find your race out of 10?
It went really well. Unfortunate with the little trip to the grass, a bit of lawn mowing. But apart from that, a really solid result. Second place, good championship points. So yeah.
Do you think if you still had the neck-on-neck action between you and Gabriel, you would have been able to get past, or do you think Gabriel was doing quite a good job on defending?
He was doing a great job on defending. I managed to get past, I think, twice or three times. But I don't know. It's hard to tell. Yeah, his defending was nice, but it's just trying to get the switchbacks really in these cars. Just keeping the revs up, keeping minimum speed as high as you can. And yeah.
Now, Will Clark as well, finishing P3. Obviously was up into P2 originally, but obviously Logan was absolutely rapid, it seems, during the race. If you do have a mic, how did your car feel throughout the race there? I'm not sure he has a mic there for tonight, but I'll ask the same question with you there, Logan. How do you think the car felt for you throughout the race?
The car felt really good, very stable. I think I put the right amount of fuel in to get me across the line and back into the pits. I like these cars, very fun to drive, especially the weight transfer. I like the way you have to blip. You can change the way you blip on some corners to give you more rotation or less. But yeah, overall, I really love these cars.
Nice. Do you have any questions? I'll pass it on to you.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, so you obviously had that moment coming into Shell Oils. Did you? How did your mindset change after that happened for you?
It was more of a just, oh no, moment, but I just needed to get my head back down. I caught up to second place, managed to overtake him. But yeah, it didn't really change. I just needed to keep positive and not really get angry at myself.
Yeah, it was a really good recovery drive there.
Thank you.
Now, good luck for race 2. Obviously, it's just happening in a few minutes' time. Do you have any predictions? Because obviously you're starting second to last for the second race. Do you have any sort of prediction on where you would like to end up without cursing yourself?
I'd ideally like to finish, obviously, first. I think that's everyone's goal. But getting through the traffic, covering my way through cleanly, not getting any off tracks and no penalties. But yeah, obviously everyone wants to win, so that would be my aim.
Nice. Well, good luck for race 2, mate. I hope you do well. I'm obviously not going to try commentators curse anyone, but it does seem to happen a bit too frequently. So good luck, mate.
Thank you.
Logan McAllister finishing P2 for the first race of tonight. Going on to the second race. Obviously, it is going to have that reverse grid effect, which is going to be throwing a spanner in the works. Obviously, I'm not sure. Did they do that in real life? I don't really pay enough attention to Ginetta Juniors in real life, if I'm being honest. But did they do that same sort of concept in real life?
No, so we do qualifying. We have 3 laps in qualifying, and your fastest lap is race 1, second fastest is race 2, and then race 2 result is the position for race 3. So we don't do the reverse grid, but but it certainly makes it interesting when you put the fastest drivers at the back, and they've got to work their way through, because we'll see some interesting strategy here with Gabriel and Logan seeming to be the two fastest drivers here being at the back, and whether we see them work together or not to potentially carve through the pack and get to the lead and then maybe have a battle. It'll be very interesting to see.
Now, as we do see the drone shots provided by Tom of, I believe it's TF Media or 2F Media. It's one of the two. I'm very sorry if I got that wrong. But we do see him now just using the drone cameras. We were seeing now what is going to be the grid for race 2. We do see it's going to be Galgi in P1, followed by Morton Evans in P2. Harry Power in P3, but we do start hearing the engines revving here for tonight. So the lights are ever too soon to go to green, as we do now go back on board with what is going to be Galgi, who will be starting the race. It's obviously a lot more pressure starting the race at the front of the pack compared to where you would usually be from qualification. What's the highest position you've actually been in either qualification or a race?
Yeah, so best qualifying was last weekend actually. We were P5 and P6 for the 2 races, and yeah, that was our best result yet, and we just want to keep that momentum going forward now and see if we can get some good results for the last couple of rounds.
Play, that's actually really good. But now we do see the lights are just going to come on in the next minute or so. But obviously you going on to your next round, I believe it's in a few weeks, so definitely good luck with that. We do see just production saying 30 seconds till the race, so I'll hold back my questions until later on, because otherwise we're going to do the same thing as race 1. But we do start hearing the engines revving, the Ginetta G40s popping sound as we do see now the lights have appeared. Now all 6 of them still not going to be red just yet. We start seeing them appear in the next 10 or so seconds. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 red lights here, ready to go green here for tonight for round 2, or race 2 of the round 1. Yes, we do see there's going to be absolutely no start there from Morton Evans. That's going to put him in a very vulnerable position to lose all of his positions, which has actually unfortunately happened, as he has been demoted practically to the bottom of the grid very, very instantly, unfortunately for himself, as we already see there as well. Galgi still being able to maintain P1 for himself so far. Morton Evans unfortunately ending back up to the end of the pack. But we do now see as well, this is going to be Samuel just trying to get past, going into caskets, as we do see that's going to happen, as now we do see Samuel being able to get past it, as well as what we do see is going to be, that is going to be Will Clark unfortunately going off into the barrier, going into caskets. I'm assuming that's going to be a spin more than a crash. But now Harry Power, as we go into the sweeping left-hander, is going to be demoted a position, but that is going to be a rapid Gabriel once again trying to get through the traffic like it's nothing. But we do now see going into Shell Oil's corner once again on board with Harry Power. Looks like he's in a very vulnerable position as Logan McAllister's behind him, the rapid driver who is looking to try and ideally take P1 in the second race here. Gets by pretty flawlessly as we go into Britain's the first chicane of the 2 going on into sector 2. But we do see now going back on board with Gabriel. Gabriel going instantly into the lead since we last saw. Now he has to try get by Galgi just a few seconds ahead, as you can see there, as he is promoted up into P2 there. Is going back on board now with Addison Smith, is losing a lot of time. It does seem Logan McAllister was able to get by. He wants to try and ideally lose no time through traffic here, as there's a lot of bumps here going on into Watermill. As we do also see behind Harry Power starting to use the slipstream to his advantage to try and get by Addison Smith as well. But we also see what is going to be Nathan Snaith as well just behind lurking. But we see that's going to be Logan McAllister going for the inside line, going in to Druids there. He is leaving absolutely no space there as he gets the inside line now, as it's not going to work. But he has lodged corner into his favor as well. But is he going to be able to take P4? But we also now see Gabriel Norse putting a lot of pressure here on Galgi, as we do see him going wide there, going into Deer Leap. But for how long will this happen? Galgi being quite brave so far in defending, going into corners like that. But we do see now Morton Evans going back up to P5. Gabriel still not being able to get past just yet, but we do see him trying to lurk around the outside. There's going to be a tiny bit of a bump there. That's going to actually cause him to spin there. Galgi unfortunately spinning, not touching the barrier, fortunate for him, but unfortunately he's going to lose a lot of positions. They're down into now P7, nearly P8, if he's not going to be able to get the momentum up. Back on board now with Nathan Snaith in P5, trying to get by what's going to be Morton Evans in the number 8 Ginetta. So far from that race start, Juice, what are your opinions?
Yeah, I mean, Gabriel did amazingly to get straight up to the lead, or not quite the lead on the first lap, but second on the first lap. It looked like he just got a little bit too impatient into that first corner. You could see him flashing his lights as well. He just clearly wanted to get past because he felt that he was much quicker than the car ahead. And it looked like he just tapped the person in front of him a little bit, and that ended up spinning them, unfortunately. But I think now with the battle that was going on between Gabriel and I'm not sure who it was that he spun actually, but the person that spun in front, or that had the contact and then spun with, that little bit of battling seems to have allowed Logan to catch up a little bit, and we might end up seeing a similar battle to last race now between Gabriel and Logan. If Logan can just get into that toe and catch back up to him, we might see another strong battle on our hands.
Absolutely. Nathan Snaith trying to go for the inside line, going into the corner just before going into Watermill. Now on to Morton Evans. It does seem like he might have the advantage here. He will have the inside line going into Druids if he's able to keep and maintain that. As there's going to be a tiny bit of contact, he is going to be spun and pit maneuver. He's going to go into the water. Same with Morton Evans there. A lot happened in a very, very, very short amount of time there. Unfortunately for Nathan and Morton, they're going to be right at the back of the field there. But now going back on board now with Will Clark going for the inside line, going in to Lodge corner. He is going to be able to break a tiny bit later than Harry Power, and he does get the move done. But it does look like now it really does just look like the reverse grid never happens. Gabriel being able to retake the lead and Logan McAllister just behind. So this could be a repeater's history, as you were just saying earlier. But we can see now Max Galgate in P7 trying to catch back up to the pack ahead. He has 3 cars ahead of him, so he can get up into P4, but he is going to have a tiny bit of a moment there going through the curb of turn 1 of Old Hall corner. But going back on board now with Harry Power, looks like he might lose another position at this rate. Samuel looking a bit impatient, trying to get by as quickly as he can so he doesn't lose too much time to the car behind. But going through caskets there, he does just go quite wide there. That is going to, and no, it's not going to enable him to go side by side just yet, but he's going to be able to have such a strong slipstream. I said it twice, so that's how strong his slipstream is going to be as we go through into Shell Oil's corner. Now once again, this is going to be a good place to try and overtake if you're able to get that inside line. Otherwise it's pretty much useless here, as we have now got the repeat of history. Gabriel Norse now in P1, but for how long? Logan McAllister trying to get his revenge after last time not being able to get P1 on the first race. Will he be able to do the same in the second race? It wasn't so heated in the interview box, so they do seem to respect each other so far, which is brilliant to see. But we do see now Gabriel Norse is still ahead, but can he defend for as long as he can? Last time, will we see Logan make an unfortunate mistake, or are we going to see just some epic racing for the entire time? I have actually just been reminded about something that I've completely forgot about. But in terms of driver of the round award so far, which we have to try and make our minds up out of all of the amazing driving that's happening here, as we do actually see Logan McAllister trying to go for the outside line, going into Lodge corner. He is going to be able to still manage to have the inside line going into this short sweep of Deal Leap now, but he is going to be able to have that tiny bit of an advantage. But going into Old Hall corner, can we see Gabriel? No, we're not going to see Gabriel still being able to maintain the side-by-side. It looks like he might try and retaliate going into turn 1. It doesn't look like he's going to be able to. Logan McAllister starting to pull away there. But in terms of driving the round so far, out of all of the battles that we've seen so far, what do you think what driver do you think deserves that award so far?
I think some of the clear winners are probably Logan and Gabriel. I mean, Gabriel's been doing amazingly well, especially in this race, to get straight up to P2 on the first lap. As we see Samuel there going off into, is that turn 1?
That seems to be, that's where is that? Yeah, that seems to be caskets, it looks like. Yeah, going into caskets, so yeah, turn 1.
But yeah, I mean that contact may or may not have helped Gabriel with his driver of the round, I don't know, selection. But I mean, Logan has also been doing amazingly well. He's obviously now up into P1, having some great battles. He did have a really nice recovery drive from the last round there, after he made that mistake, managing to get back up to P2. But yeah, I mean, I think it's up for debate between a few of the drivers here today.
I 100% agree. If it comes down to the point where they're both battling just as hard as last races here, as we do see now Morton Evans going for the outside line, going into Knickersbrook. Is he going to be able to do it onto Galgi? It doesn't seem he's going to be able to get the momentum just yet, but under braking could be his best friend here, as he has the inside line into the second part, but he goes very, very wide there. Unfortunately, isn't going to be able to do it this time round. But what I was saying, if the battle equally keeps going between Logan McAllister and Gabriel Norse, which it doesn't seem it is so far. It's still 6/10, but that 6/10 can be gained quite quickly, so it's quite a dominant battle so far. I think we might have to do a heads and tails situation on who gets driver of the round.
Yeah, it seems to be going that way a little bit.
So it does seem Tom, the production person, doing the amazing job on the stream here, says it might be, I think he said, was it Logan? Yeah, it said Logan. So it's currently still down, so obviously there's 3 of us doing it. So it might be a bit more of a democracy than anything. So it's definitely going to be down to me and Jude now to pick that. It seems. So it could be Logan who gets it, it could be Gabriel, it might be another driver if they stand out during the last parts of this race here. But we do see now Gabriel seeming to lose a tiny bit of time now. It's just gone up to 9/10 it seems now, as we do enter into Shell's Oil Corner once again. It does seem he's struggling a bit now, Gabriel Norse, going on until the second race. He does seem to be locking those front tires, which is definitely going to lead to some bad flat spots going onto it. Can you feel the flat spots too much in a circuit course on this mod? Because I'll be honest, I don't drive a circuit course as much as I used to, even though I spent too much money on a rig.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think in any sim, I've never experienced flat spots in a sim. And to be fair to Assetto Corsa, with this car, you don't really get flat spots in real life due to the tyre. I mean, if you had a really big lockup, I'm sure you probably could, but in my experience with locking up, you don't tend to get too many flat spots, as we see Gabriel going a little bit wide there. But it seems like after Gabriel's lost his P1, he might have let that get a little bit to his head, and he seems to have had a bit of a gap in front of him and making a couple of mistakes now. But he just needs to get back into that rhythm, and he might be able to catch back to Logan and potentially take back that P1.
Does seem now Max Galgi just trying to make any sort of move he can here on Morton Evans. This might be the chance. He's got to have the internal line going into Druidshire, but we do see the momentum already seems to be in Max Galgi's favour as we just go up into Watermill now once again. And Clay Hill, it does seem to be now Logan McAllister. This is going to be a different battle actually. That's going to be him getting the fastest lap actually. That's going to be Max Galgi once again, just still under pressure. He wants to try get back past there Morton Evans as well, as we can see Samuel there, unfortunately with his mistake earlier, led him to the back of the field. But we do see there's going to be contact between the two drivers. That's going to cause both of them to spin there. Max Galgi going to have a sigh of relief there. He's going to have hopefully quite an easy last part of the race there, but we do see Samuel having to do the unfortunate thing of having to reverse onto track there. It's a bit dangerous, but luckily there was no one around there. But we just see Gabriel using all of the track there. That was actually quite scary to see. That was almost a repeat of what Logan did earlier into race 1. But obviously, with Driver of the Round awards, I think we might need a bit of chat's help, you know, just to try and get some sort of a democracy going in a way. So everyone in chat who is still in chat, it does seem there's still quite a few people. Who do you think, out of all of the drivers here for tonight, who do you think will be taking Driver of the Round awards? It will be obviously announced at the end, so this is just all early planning of it, but we do see now Gabriel Norse just 1.9 seconds behind Logan McAllister, so Logan starting to be quite rapid here now that he's got the clean air. Ethan Winter saying, in the real version of Ginetta Junior, can I make an application to race at early 13? I'm not really sure what that means. Do you know what that means? Oh, never. Actually, no, I'm not the person to ask about this. This is going to be Jude's question.
Yeah, it's 14 is the minimum age, I believe. So yeah, there's no exceptions to that rule as far as I'm aware.
You definitely need to have the budget, that's for sure.
Yeah, I've seen that way.
I think it was what? It's probably around, obviously, if you don't have a scholarship. If you do have a scholarship, you're definitely lucky enough to get that for free, which you can win here if you win the championship. So that's a big part of motivation. But I believe I was reading an article and it was around 10 to 20 grand, I think is what I was hearing. So if that's accurate, that is quite a big barrier for most people to try and get into motorsports. And obviously as well, with the karting experience and the amount of years you've spent or months karting, it's just going to add up as well. So that's another big barrier on trying to get into motorsports as just a young'un. But we do see now like Formula One drivers. And I do think Rafael Marciello has the same thing where he's starting to build his own kart brand for people who are less fortunate to try and get into motor racing, which is brilliant to see, as we do see Gabriel Norse now having a tiny bit of a lockup once again. He is starting to struggle. His brakes are overheating a tiny bit, which is obviously going to emit out into the tires. That could be a bit of an issue there for him if he's not going to be able to cool his brakes down in time as he enters into Britain's. Once again, there's now 2.5 seconds, so Logan McAllister is obviously just gapping at this rate, but obviously Logan with the fastest lap so far wants to try and regain the fastest lap. I'm not sure if he had the fastest lap for round one or if it was Samuel, one of the two, as it does seem Tom O'Farrell saying to be eligible, the competitor's date of birth must fall between the 1st of January 2009 and the 15th of March 2011 to be able to apply for Ginetta Juniors. Participants must also not have competed in any motorsport UK regulated, scholarship only, sorry. But participants must also not have competed in any motorsport UK regulated car events. These requirements are the requirements of both the official eSeries and 2025 Ginetta Junior scholarship. So it's good to obviously see just an entire eSeries just dedicated to young sim racers as well, because just seeing people, and I believe you did the same thing as well, because obviously you won this and had the ability to go from sim racing to real life racing. How would you think the transition is? Is it really tough? Because obviously you have to be fit and in good shape to be able to race. But as well as that, is sim racing, do you think it's helped you quite a bit to be able to prepare for races in the real life world?
Yeah, I mean, without sim racing, I definitely wouldn't be where I am today. It's been there's definitely a few differences, but it set me up so well to go into the real car. I mean, before the scholarship, I'd done one day in the car, and that was it. I hadn't done any of the real life really, and then to go and be able to win the scholarship, sim racing really set me up very well for that. There's definitely a few subtle differences, and to really extract the best pace, there's a few kind of things you need to get used to, but it definitely prepares you amazingly well.
Well, I was about to say indeed, but I don't know about it. But just going back on to chat there, it seems the majority of chat, well, actually everyone in chat so far is voting for Logan for the driver of the day. So that is something to just look out for going on until the end of today's stream. Now, 4 minutes of racing left to go. We do see Logan McAllister having a 4-second gap so far. So he is easily going to win this if he's able to keep up with what he's doing. Not trying to obviously commentators curse anyone, but it's quite kind of difficult to see what's doing at the moment. But Logan seeming to be purple in sector 1, so this could be the fastest lap for him. He does go quite wide there going into Druid, so that's going to obviously compromise his lap time with getting a bit better exit speed there. But we do go into Lodge Corner once again. This is going to be the penultimate lap he goes on to, going into DLE Pio as he goes across the line now to see what time he's going to be able to set. He goes across, and it is going to be a 201.7 here for his race time so far, which is going to be his fastest lap of the race so far. If he's able to maintain that, we do see Gabriel with a 203, so there is a big difference there between times, and everyone seems to be quite scattered out so far on track. It does seem, no, I'm not sure who one of those drivers is on the map, but he was going quite slow there, the other LM car, but it seems he has recovered it nicely there. But in terms of it, that seems to be Morton Evans. I believe he might have spanned there, because now his gap between him and Samuel has decreased quite significantly since we last checked, with 2 minutes remaining. Can he hold off for the remainder of this race?
It seems like Logan's gotten into a bit of a groove now. He's gotten into that practice mindset, back to where he kind of, what the timesheets seem to tell us in practice, and he's now building quite a gap to Gabriel, 4.5 seconds exactly. But if nothing goes wrong for him, he should be able to hold that gap or even expand it by the end of the race.
Hopefully so. It does seem he's starting to do it now with 2.3 seconds, so it has increased ever so slightly though. But now with Logan McAllister now with 4.3 seconds, now Nathan Snaith as well, playing his own groove so far, currently 15 seconds to the car behind and 13 seconds to the car in front, it seems. Or no, it's 3 seconds to the car ahead. As we can see, it's going to be Harry Power in front of him. He is practically what you could say in no man's land at this rate. He is just playing at his own groove, no pressure to be actually doing anything here. He's still going to score pretty decent points. He does seem to be able to score if he's able to maintain P6. He's going to be able to score a whopping 18 points, which is a brilliant amount of points there. As we do see Norse is off there. It did seem Norse had the red highlight there, so that means he did go off somewhere unless he cut. So that is going to decrease the gap quite a bit. As we can see, it has, now we do see it's going to be Alan Smith. No, it's Addison Smith, sorry, against Gabriel Norse here as we go on to what is going to be the final lap. Now, can we see Gabriel being able to defend off for this long? He is going to be experienced with this, but can he hold off? No, what is going to be Addison Smith? We enter into Old Hall Corner once again for the final time here tonight. It does seem he's starting to gain a tiny bit of time once again there, as it does seem he is going to go down into Cascades and try to gain more time there, but we do see it's going to be Addison once again just trying to gain as much time as he can under braking without locking up there, as we do go on to the sweeping left-hander before Shell Oil Corner. It is still going to be him increasing that gap significantly there, so you can see the pace difference there between P2 and P3 there. It's now 12 seconds between Logan McAllister and obviously Gabriel still locking up into the hairpin of Shell's Oil Corner. But I think I've made my mind up of driver of the day. I'm not sure about you, so I'm going to ask you if you've got any sort of idea now on who you're going to take.
Yeah, I think it's leaning more towards what the chat seems to be saying of Logan. He's certainly got into a groove now, and to build a 12-second gap is really quite impressive. Albeit Gabriel did make a small mistake, but even before that, it did seem like Logan was able to build that gap, and he's really he was starting. Well, Gabriel was ahead of him at the start of this race, and he's managed to get past and pull away. So I think he's probably one of the most likely candidates for driver of the round.
I think you're right there. If you enjoy what you're seeing and want to get involved, obviously you can still enter. There's a round by round entry available with 1 round drop score system available. Jordan Taylor as well, one of the admins, saying Logan is the driver of the round. So I'm probably going to say Logan as well, which does seem Logan might win driver of the day award. As we can see, Logan McAllister now going to win the second race of the day here. Logan McAllister coming home in P1 after such a difficult first race for himself. Now we do see Gabriel Norse as well coming home in P2. So they've practically done just a big switch there between the two drivers. Then we do see Addison Smith taking P3. It's going to be as well Clark behind taking P4. Harry Power just quite far down the road, actually, 18 seconds. Now going to take P5 if he's able to keep Nathan Snaith off him, as it does go up Dear Leap now to go across the start finish straight to take P5. As well as we can see, it's going to be Nathan Snaith as well in P6. Then there is going to be quite a big gap there between Galgi and Snaith with 21 seconds, which is going to be Galgi most likely taking P7 if nothing bad happens here as he goes into Lodge Corner for the final time this evening, going down into Dear Leap. He is going to be able to take P7 for the number 42 Galgez or Gagles Autosports. That really just gave me a tongue twister feel, unfortunately. As well as then we do see Morton Evans as well taking P8 for tonight, ironically in the number 8 car, as well as Samuel, unfortunately not having the race he would have probably wanted. Gonna come home in last position here, P9, so still scoring quite major points here for tonight's race, but comes home in P9. In terms of that race then, Jude, how do you think it went compared to race 1?
Yeah, it was a very interesting race, with Gabriel being able to come all the way through the pack along with Logan. I think Gabriel started just behind, and at the start he was able to get up into P2, and then Logan, of course, caught back up to him and then got past and pulled a huge gap of 12.5 seconds. So, yeah, that was a very interesting race to watch.
As we now do driver interviews once again, Logan McAllister wins. How does that feel, mate?
Feels amazing. I wasn't quite sure in the middle of the race if I was getting off tracks or not, but I don't know if I did or because nothing came up on my screen, and I felt I did cut the chicane once. But yeah, now that I know that I win, it's been an amazing first round, coming home with the win. Yeah, I managed to get past Gabriel earlier in the race and then just continue to set fast, consistent lap times. We managed to build a big enough gap to win.
You were able to score max points in the second race, I believe. You got fastest lap, which gains you another point. And I'm not sure if we say this now. So, Tom, in terms of driver of the day, are we allowed to say that now, or do we just wait till the end? So, Logan, you have been awarded Driver of the Day award as well for the amazing racing you have been providing for today. So that has given you,
so much.
I believe it's a pair of gloves from 5... Is it 5M, or have I just made up a GTA roleplay server?
Green, maybe.
Sorry, we played it with GTA, it seems. As well as Gabriel, that P2 for the second race there. How does that feel, mate?
Oh, it was good. I'm sorry to Max for that incident. I really didn't mean it, but apart from that, I just made a bit of a mistake towards the end, which nearly gave Addison a chance, I think. But other than that, it was a decent race.
It seems you were struggling with braking going into the hairpin of turn 5 Shell Oil's corner. Was that anything to do with damage, or was it just your brakes were overheating at times?
I'm not too sure. I was just continuously locking up and going a bit deep. But I'll just have to check what that was and try and test and see what it was.
As well as that, Addison, you could take P3 for the second race. How does that feel? Your first podium here of the day.
It felt good. Thought I'd done alright. Then started 6th in the reverse grid, so to get to P3 was alright.
In terms of the car, how did it feel for you?
It was alright. I was just trying to be careful not to spin and that, and not to get off tracks, so I could bring it home. So yeah. I'm
going to pass the same gun over to Jude. Do you have any questions as well to ask these 3 podium sitters for the second race?
Yeah, I mean, for Logan or Gabriel, did you ever think about potentially working together at the start? I mean, Gabriel, you seem to get through to P2 on the first lap very quickly, but yeah, did you ever think about potentially working together?
At one point I thought I'll try build a gap with Gabriel for the first 5-10 minutes or so. But I saw he was making a few mistakes and I just had to send it, and it kind of paid off in the end.
Yeah, well done.
Nice to see. Thank you very much for attending the interview room here, and congratulations to all 3 of you for the podium, and for actually you and Gabriel and Logan, sorry, both of you getting your second podium of the night. Have a brilliant rest of your night, and good luck for round 2.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So now, in terms of just before we wrap up tonight, we do have a few notes. Obviously, we do have the Pro Sim Rig Super Touring Sim Series starting on September 3rd. Entries close on the September 2nd, which you can see here. This is quite a decent looking calendar. Obviously, Donington Park, as well as then Silverstone GP, Spa, as well as Brands Hatch Indy, followed then by Imola, Castle Combe, Croft, and Oulton Park there for that calendar as well. If you did enjoy what you saw today and want to be involved with some of the racing, you can still enter. There is that round by round enter. So obviously there's going to be more info on the PASR website, as well as fun races are free to enter every Friday. Ginetta Junior scholarships entries are open at ginetta.com/JS. And obviously Driver of the Round, which went to Logan, gets his free pair of 3M UK sim gloves, as that is going to be all I have to say. Jude, do you have anything else to say?
No, I think that's it. That's all good. It was a good round here. Lots of interesting battling, especially from the front 2 there. And yeah, I'm sure we'll see some more of this in the next few rounds.
No, it's absolutely been a pleasure being here today. I will not be here for the rest of the season. I was just here covering for the GOAT, which is Zach Sweeney, who is currently doing brilliant stuff over with ESL. But I will see you guys hopefully at a later date. Thank you very much, Tom, for doing all of the amazing camera work. It's been brilliant. Jude as well. Been a pleasure being in the comments box with you as well. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
And that is going to be all that we have here for tonight, folks. Join us for next round. I believe it's Donington. So enjoy that with Zach Sweeney taking commentary for the rest of the season. And good night.